Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Reckless Optimist podcast. My name is Megan. I'm a family nurse practitioner with a deep passion for mental health. On this show, we showcase guests who have shown tenacity, grit, mental strength, and who embody the word resilience. A quick disclaimer before we start. This show is not a substitute for mental diagnosis or treatment. We do recommend that if you're struggling with your own emotional well-being, you see a mental health provider. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Today on the podcast, we have Art. Art is a really special guy. He has been through a lot in his life. He shares his story tonight of some childhood trauma. He is definitely someone that has worked through it and come through a better person because of all of his life experiences. He is a manly man, but he is very good at displaying his emotional side and his vulnerable side. And I know you guys are going to love this story. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone. Help me welcome Art to the podcast.
Hi. Good morning.
I'm so excited that you're here. I know. Good morning. We were just talking before we jumped on. It's morning for you and it's
Morning
afternoon for me. Yeah. Because where are you coming in from?
Northern California, Sacramento, the capital of California.
Okay. Is it hot? Is it cold? What's it like there?
Right now, we're in the 70s. We just got a little bit of a drizzle last week to remind us that winter's coming. So it's actually, I welcome it, though. It's fun. It's a beautiful time.
What is winter like in Sacramento?
It very rainy. You get a big hit of rain for like 2-3 weeks at a time, and then just spotty rain throughout. Cold, I mean, it dips down into the 30s. Once in a while we do get a little drizzle of snow.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's very fair weather.
Is that where Full House was filmed? Is that the same?
About an hour and a half west of us, yes.
Okay. My dad didn't let us watch TV, but he did let us watch Full House and Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay. California is weird because we do have our microclimate. So where I'm at, it gets into over 100 degrees in the summertime. So in San Francisco, just down the street, about an hour away, I mean, it doesn't get past 70. So
Yeah.
it's pretty wild out here.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So me and you know each other through the online recovery community. And how many years sober are you?
I am 4.5 years going on 5.
Amazing. I love to hear it. So we're going to start our episode out with a quote like we do each time. And the quote I picked for your episode is actually from Sober Traveler. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I do, yes.
Adam. Yes, I've had him on my show a few months ago. Amazing guy. He just got married. He has the best sober memes. If you're looking for a page to follow, go follow him at Sober Traveler. So the quote goes, first, we stay sober because we have to. Then we stay sober because we're willing to. Finally, we stay sober because we want to. What does that quote mean to you?
Pretty much sums up my life exactly where it's at now. That's a really good quote. I like that. Wow. The have to portion of it, my rock bottom it was literally a life and death situation for me. So I had to. My body was telling me, my everything, the universe was telling me, God was telling me, my people around me were telling me. And that was my had to, or else I wouldn't be here. And this is why I'm on my Instagram. I'm not super vocal as far as out in the community, in your face. I do post a lot of meaningful posts that are meaningful to me and what got me to where I'm at now. But the need to be sober, wow, that's a good one. Yeah, because I was there. I was posed with that life and death situation. And, this is where I'm at now. Sobriety makes it all worth it. And I mean, there's so much clarity to sobriety, and life makes sense. My life makes sense for me after sobriety, and I'm willing to fight for whatever that is. And I do it every day. It's a daily thing, one day at a time. That's literally how we survive in sobriety, is just one day at a time. But I'm willing to get through that. I am now in a position where I want to be sober. I know what it is to be on that side, on the opposite end, in sobriety and active addiction. And now on this side, I want to be. I don't want anything to do with alcohol anymore. I don't have anything against alcohol. For people that can handle it, go do your thing. And it was a tool for me at one point to help me process my emotions, whatever little emotions I did have. It was a tool for me. I'm just done using that tool, and I'm now on the other side of it, and I don't ever want to partake in that ever again.
Yeah. No, I love how you explain that and kind of breaking down the quote piece by piece. I agree with you. I had to get sober. I joke that God slapped me on my rock bottom moment to wake me up. The part that I really tracked with in this quote was the last part. We stay sober because we want to.
Mhm.
I love that part of it. The benefits that you get in sobriety over time, and they do not happen overnight for everyone, just reaffirm your decision to stay sober and you become proud. Like I've become a proud person, not self-righteous, but proud to be sober. And I see it as a superpower in adulthood.
It is for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to hear your story. I don't know your story. I follow you because you also post really good memes as well, sober content. So, yeah, wherever you feel comfortable, just take us back.
Sure. 4.5 years sober, going to 5. And my sobriety date is also my separation date from my ex-wife. There was a moment where there was a sense of clarity of where I wanted my life to go. And that was a month prior to my actual sobriety date. I was sober for 30 days and my sobriety date was really a relapse, but also that was the final straw. So I had 30 days of being clean, and that was probably the hardest 30 days ever. But with that 30 days, I found clarity that I've never had before. And this is after my rock bottom. My rock bottom was drinking every day. And it wasn't just beer, it was hard liquor. It was Jameson whiskey was my poison of choice. It was a daily thing before. And unfortunately, during work, I was also having to because of the withdrawals were just so intense that I could not. I was for sure going to have a seizure or a heart attack if I did not have that shot of alcohol. And so during that rock bottom moment where it was a constant battle every day, finding where I'm going to get my alcohol to keep going. And this was during COVID. So it was a very isolated moment for me. And looking back, COVID really did help me process on my own by force. And that's really for me, that's the only way that I can process things is I have to process things on my own before I can either ask for help or, be in motion to make decisions outside of just myself. Right. And during that time, I always had that inner voice guiding me. What I call God. I don't practice. I'm not a practicing Christian or Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I had a brief stint with Christianity, and it was such a blessing to meet those people. Ultimately, it wasn't the path that where I'm at now. I do believe in Jesus Christ. I believe the essence of Jesus Christ, and I do embody what is the spirit of Jesus Christ within myself, and that really got me through. But for me, it wasn't in the confines of an actual religion. That rock bottom it led me to have that clarity. That the 30 days of sobriety gave me that clarity to make decisions moving forward, which was to ultimately um, file for divorce. I filed for divorce from my ex-wife. She's a wonderful woman, great mom. We co-parent extremely well, and she was a blessing for me for what it was. But there was a lot of clarity that happened those 30 days prior to my actual sobriety, and I called a God, like you said, slapped me in the face, made me think of a lot of flashbacks that were coming through of things that happened to me as a kid that really affected me, and it was a childhood trauma that was at the hands of a priest, and I'll just leave it at that. And making sense of those flashbacks of, was I crazy? Why am I thinking these things? Why is this happening to me? These flashbacks were coming on very strong. Then the stronger they came through, the more I drank. Not until I got sober did it finally start to click through a help of a therapist, through a help of um, what I call my spiritual awakening. I found a lot of people along the way that helped me, a lot of beautiful people that helped me along the way to make things make sense for me. All the signs that were coming through, the synchronicities, I thought I was going crazy. Why is this happening to me? And now looking back, it all makes sense to me. I wasn't crazy. Those flashbacks were real. Those flashbacks were telling me to dive into what was really bothering me. But I could never really dive into what was really bothering me until after I got sober in a safe way. And man, there's a lot to unpack there, but it was my whole adult life made no sense after I got sober. I was doing things, met people, even met my ex-wife during my survival mode. I was just trying to survive and get through a lot of the emotions that were really affecting me. That I met her really just to cope with my emotions, because she was my drinking buddy. She was my party buddy, right? We had season tickets for the 49ers, the Sacramento Kings basketball. We did all that. It was all fun, but it was really to hide what was really affecting me. And I'm a completely different person now than what I was. She married a completely different person than what she thought she married, right? And she is no longer um in my timeline at all. Love her for who she is, and she takes care of our babies. I got two beautiful kids with her, and like I said, we co-parent very well. And so now 4 years sober, 4.5 years sober. I mean, I had a reset on life. And as you can tell on my Instagram, I post a lot of very relatable memes to a lot of people in recovery, a lot of spiritual content, a lot of tapping into God, right? It's a lot of feel good memes that I post, but that's because really that's the life that I'm living in now. It's a beautiful space to be in. And I know you know that as much as I do. Sobriety is such a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Your story is beautiful. I have some follow-up questions for
Sure.
you. Did you start drinking when you were young? Kind of give us that timeline. Like, where do you feel like the turning point was, where it went from being something you did for fun to being used as medicine?
I didn't start drinking. I started drinking late. So when I graduated high school, my first year into college, I was 19. That's when I started drinking. That's when I started to get into um, partying with people around me that were a lot older, where I was able to access alcohol through those people. And I never looked back after that. 19, it was just a social every weekend drinking in a binge setting, party setting, social setting. And I've always been employed. I've been employed since I was 17. So I've always been super responsible. Um, and I've always held a job, but there was always time to party. That 19 is really when that started. And it was just every weekend kind of thing, just binge drinking.
When did it turn into a more like problematic behavior?
I would say it took about 10 years from just the social drinking, party drinking, to when I met my ex-wife. And I think when the responsibilities start to roll in and I am asked to do more than just the everyday thing. I was tasked with being in a relationship, being committed to somebody else, and eventually, buying a house and all the obligations and responsibilities that you have as a grown adult. That's when it really started to get tough on me. And so the more those responsibilities started to pile up, the more I drank, and my anxiety rolled up, and my sense of worth as a man, as a provider, was really knocking on my door of, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that now to be this man for myself and for my wife at that time. So the responsibility just started climbing and climbing and climbing. And that's when I drank more, just to escape that. And just like everybody else does, everybody else wants a beer just to chill out and all that. Well, it wasn't just one beer for me. It had to be 36. So, um, and yeah, nothing really super traumatic happened in my growing adult life. A lot of that was bottled up from when I was a kid that I did not know and I did not unpack until later on in my years. But it was just a gradual day to day responsibilities where I kept drinking, and then it was like, you know what? Beer's not working out for me. Maybe I should just bump it up to a shot of this, shot of that. That's really when it ramped up. About the 10-year mark is when it was just straight alcohol at that point. And that's really where I ended up. It was just straight alcohol, whiskey.
So that day that you had got sober, or even like 30 days before, did something come to a boiling point? What ultimately flipped the switch for you?
That's when my spiritual awakening happened. All the signs that were coming up, all the synchronicities, all the dreams that I was having, all the flashbacks that were having, they were loud and in my face. And this was a no BS moment that happened to me. I was at work on a Monday, I remember, and it was very quiet during COVID, nobody around. I was in the middle of a field. I work in construction. I work outside, and it was foggy, it was rainy, and the clouds parted. And no BS, the clouds parted. I got that hit of sunshine, and it was just all the messages that were coming through in my head at that moment. And I got one clear message, and I got that one clear message of that voice in my head to talk to the Diocese of Sacramento. That was the where I went to church, right? Through their one of their churches. And I just did. I followed that, my gut instinct, and that's the whole time I just, why are these flashbacks coming up, right? When I got that message in my head to go call the diocese, I don't know what I was doing. I just called and I told them, hey, I'm getting these flashbacks. I have no idea what's going on. And a real nice lady that worked there, she interviewed me, got my statement, pretty much made sense of what I was going through. And she unfortunately goes through a lot of these interviews. And, I was able to unpack with her. And then she told me at that point to, go talk to the police department. And then ever since then, from interview and a police report, the that's when it really started to make sense. In that aspect of this, is those dreams and those flashbacks were serious. And now I'm involved in law enforcement, and that was that message that I got that morning. And then after that, I did have an employee. Through EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Program at work, I was able to get a therapist. And I had her for 6 months of intense therapy sessions. And she made me really process those emotions and to tell me that I wasn't crazy and that those flashbacks were real. And that's when it all clicked to me. It's like, oh my God, I mean, my whole life I've been living a almost a lie of just trying to work around those emotions, those feelings of what happened to me as a kid that are still unfolding. Even to this day, they're still unfolding, and I'm trying to make sense of them as I go. But yeah, that was my moment where I just had that so much clarity. And funny, when I unloaded from having that message that morning, that sun parted, hit me in the face, and it just had that message to speaking to the diocese, to my therapist, to the police department. I had a weight off my shoulders that was wow. And it was such a weight off my shoulders that ever since then, I didn't struggle with alcohol at all. A lot of people ask me, is like, was it hard? Yeah, it was. Of course it was hard. The physical aspects of it are hard. That the withdrawals, all that's hard. The spiritual aspect of it, though, of unloading my soul from that burden of what was holding me down, that's what kept me going, was just finally unpacking my soul from the BS that I was carrying all along.
Yeah. That emotional backpack. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's some really heavy, heavy stuff that you went through. And to do that, in a safe space with a therapist. And if anyone's listening that's gone through something similar, a trauma therapist is a really good idea as well. And, working through those things. I mean, that's amazing that you were able to have that clarity that day. And I do believe that God sends us messages. I've had so many people on my show that have described their awakening moments, warm embraces, all different types. God visits us, spirituality, however you want to word it, visits us in all different types of ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, even to now, working through breath work, working through my workouts, my yoga, having a daily check-in, God still sends you those messages. And it's an everyday embrace. It's an everyday love. And I am all about love. And I carry it very well. And, I open up the doors to invite people in my life that are very meaningful, very loving, very with purpose, intentions. And, my wife Whitney, she's an amazing soul. And I would have never met her during my active addiction. It was after the fact. God was preparing me for one myself to open up the doors for somebody like her. And how blessed I am now to be in this space.
That day 4.5 years ago, you had mentioned withdrawals. When you did, choose to get sober, did you have to go to detox or did you just raw dog that? Kind of give us that take.
I had to go and visit a hospital. At the beginning, I didn't even know it was me having withdrawals. I was like, why am I so anxious every Monday morning after a full weekend of just drinking gallons of liquor and beer? And not until I started looking up the symptoms for withdrawals, is like, oh, I'm having alcohol withdrawals. And that's when I went to my healthcare provider and I asked them, like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm dying when I stopped drinking alcohol. And they told me I had to go into emergency. They gave me pills to stop my heart rate from skyrocketing like it did after every withdrawal session. And I still had to wean off of it little by little. And I was very mindful of it, especially after all the information that I received from my caretakers and also my own research. You can't just leave drop alcohol cold turkey. It is very dangerous to do so. And anybody that's listening that wants to do that, it is a very, very, very dangerous situation. Alcohol is, I think, one of the only drugs that can kill you if you fully cold turkey. So I felt those symptoms and it is scary. But yes, I did go through them. Also, I did a little bit of AA. So AA was good for me for a few months, but eventually it didn't work out for me. So I don't go through AA now. And I have a pretty unique story. I was already sober, right, a few months sober when I went into AA. And I got the confidence to start sharing my testimony at AA meetings. And exactly what I told you is exactly the same story that I told up front in AA meetings of what happened to me as a kid and what was coming up for me as far as the flashbacks in childhood sexual abuse that happened to me. And it was probably about two weekends in a row where I share that story. And what we would call the grand sponsor in our meetings, he's a guy that's been there 30 plus years. And he's the one that manages the meetings where I was going. He pulled me aside after I shared, and he asked me not to share my story ever again. And I was really dumbfounded by that. I said, well, I mean, this is a space for us to share our stories. And he told me then that my story is hurting a lot more people than it is helping. And right at that moment, I'm able to read people very well. And that's when I knew that my story was affecting him because he hasn't been able to share his story. He just hasn't been able to fully unpack the way that I did. And there was almost a sense of jealousy. There was a sense of, how dare you, right? How dare you share your story? Because he couldn't. And no one ever knew his story. He just says that he struggles. Even after 30 something years of being in sobriety, that he struggles with alcohol still. And I believe it was because he's still harboring those emotions within himself that seeing me unpack the way that I did, it really triggered him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, some of these groups are not going to have the most healthy people in recovery. And, I pray that he gets the peace that he needs. But yeah, I apologize for that experience. I mean, AA works for some people, it doesn't work for others. A lot of it is group dependent. Some groups are better than others. You just got to keep trying. What keeps you sober almost 5 years in? What's your regimen? Do you have another community? Have an online group? Do you read books? What keeps you sober today?
What you see online on my Instagram is really what keeps you sober. I do my daily check-in. I post in the morning and, just let that thing, cook up during the day. And I get a lot of connections with people on my Instagram feed. There's a lot of people that reach out to me and that I'm always willing to help anybody in need. I'm very, like I said, I'm very career driven, working on a few things now. A lot of clarity came through during my sobriety where, I'm also purpose driven, working on a few projects here that ultimately could end up being some businesses that I establish. So that's still in the works. That drives me. It's the there's a sense of purpose now. I have my babies through with my ex-wife, and then I have my babies with my wife now. I'm a stepfather to two. So it's just a wonderful experience overall, just being surrounded with those people, just friends and family that I have around. Nothing major, nothing crazy. It's just I'm living life, whereas I used to just survive, and that's really what keeps me going every day.
I love that. When I hear you tell your story and your recovery story, you've essentially built your own community, your own sober community. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's awesome. Sobriety and recovery, it's not linear. There's not just one way to get sober. There's a million different ways. There's a million different communities, organizations, or forming your own path. I've even had some people on my show who just got sober through reading books. I do think having a sense of community and learning how to deal with your stress are two extremely foundational parts of long-term sobriety, but community can look different for everyone.
Absolutely. Podcasts, I listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of motivational podcasts when I first got sober. A lot of books were read to me. I do Audible.
Yeah.
walking, a lot of walking. Fitness was my thing. I do a lot of work. My daily routine for workouts. Having a gym community of folks that really supported me, and I supported them. Yeah, it's wild how far the community, the sober community, stretches. I have friends in Australia, England, Africa, everywhere. There's just people from all over the world that just come up out of nowhere and it's like, hey, you're sober, I'm sober. How's it going?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I love that part of the sober community. I wanted to ask you, so if people want to follow you, what's your Instagram handle?
It is sober as built, sober underscore as underscore built.
Yes, you.
The as built portion is it's a term in construction. So whenever something is built, the are as built plans, right? So our blueprints.
I
So when
love
we
it.
build something, it's as built. So now I'm sober as built.
That's very creative. I have reposted some of your memes because you have really good content. But my question for you there is, when did you decide to come out sober?
On Instagram,
Just as a person in recovery, when did you make that public?
honestly, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Were you a few years in?
It was months. It was months. And it was really to my family first because to them, I'm drinking, I'm going through a divorce, all this is happening to me. I wanted to tell them, is like, hey, I'm going through a lot of things right now. I'm also sober. So please be mindful of where I'm at right now. And my dad is sober. He was an alcoholic for most of his adult life, so he's sober now as well. So he understood. He doesn't share much of his sobriety with me. He does go to his AA meetings, and we connect every once in a while with it. We do share a story of sobriety between each other. But yeah, my family was the first ones to know, but it was really just to make sense of what was really going on in my life because there was a lot of rock bottom moments for me and for me to explain, but also give them a worldview of what I'm going through. And then on Instagram, it just started posting my milestones, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. After that 1 year, it was really okay. I'm sober,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just posting freely.
Yeah. Very similar to you in that regard. How has your relationship changed with your children?
I'm present. I used to just exist, and now I'm fully present, and they're just so full of love. And now I can actually embrace the love. And they're very young; they're 7 and 5, so they're in that age where they don't remember me drunk, and I'm very thankful for that. But whatever moments I do have now, because I do have a co-parenting situation. I see them every other weekend and I'm fully immersed in their lives as much as I can when they are with me. And whatever little time that I do have with them, I make the most of it through myself. And then with my wife now, she has 2 kids and they're exactly the same age. So we just enjoy each other. And it's actually just fun. It's a very fun age.
It's awesome. I love hearing that so much. So that first year, or even, multiple years after you got sober, did you ever have any cravings? And if you did, how did you get through them?
The cravings were there, and I still get the cravings now. The cravings are there. The first year, it was me missing my friends because my drinking buddies were my family. That was all I had forever. And anytime that I missed them, I knew that the correlation was there of when I had that urge to drink alcohol. It wasn't because I wanted to drink alcohol, it's because I was missing my friends. And but I also knew that although they're good people, they're they're just not meant to be in my life just because they were just there to drink and party. So whenever I had a sense of missing them, that's when the urges at the beginning were very strong. And even now, I had a pretty strong urge the other day. A couple of weeks ago. So my kids recently moved out of the city that I'm in. So they're about an hour away. And so I would see them pretty regularly, but I don't as much now because they did move away. And I just had a very, very deep emotional, internal sense that I just missed them. And I had the sense to drink. I had the urge to drink at that point, and I can make sense of it now. Like I said, alcohol was my tool to cope, to get in my emotions. I had a whole playlist back when I used to drink of just songs that made me emotional while I was drinking. I had a full on playlist. I would throw this, slap that on my headphones, go buy me a bottle of whiskey and just cry. And so alcohol, that was for me, just my emotional release. I do get those every once in a while, but I can make sense of it, get through it and just keep going.
Yeah. It's like bad weather rolling in. Like you just dug your feet in and you let the weather pass, and then the weather's gone and it's sunny again, but you have to ride through the storm, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I felt similarly, and it wasn't like necessarily cravings for alcohol. In my experience, it was craving to feel different than I did right then, right? So you're in a
Yes.
stressful or a bad situation and you just don't want to feel what you're feeling. So, how do you escape that in a healthy way? And that's a lot you learn that first year, first 2 years, how to have coping mechanisms. And what's worked for me is exercise has always been a good tool, getting out, moving my body, move a muscle. Meditation has been extremely helpful for me, forces me to live in the right now and not the past or the future. Journaling is also like an energy release for me, writing it down, whatever, even if it doesn't make sense, just like transcribing it onto paper has
Yes.
been really helpful. And then my spirituality, connecting to God, connecting to nature, that's also been extremely helpful.
Yeah, same here. My workouts are really what get the energy moving, and it's never a bad workout. Every single time, I might hesitate at the beginning, say, "Oh, I don't want to do this today," but I always feel so much better after the workout, and that is a moment where that's my meditation. I do tap into myself. I get all my messages when I work out. When I mean messages, right, it's just my internal compass, my internal clock, my where I tap into the divine. God talks to me and guides me during my workouts. It's really when I get those channeled messages, and I'm just able to move my body, right, and I do that. And I work out to stay healthy, be mobile. I'm not in a competition. I know a lot of people they switch one addiction to another, right? And working out could be one, right? You can cope with alcohol one day, and then the next day you're coping through endless workouts and not necessarily processing your emotions in a healthy way, rather than just to switch it up from one addiction to the other, and that's not healthy. So when I work out, it's literally just to be mobile and tap in with myself.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have to be really like doing that self inventory. Am I working out for my health or am I just escaping my problems right now?
Yep.
And in some ways, it might be working out, may be a form of harm reduction, right? So you're not drinking, you're doing something quote unquote healthy, but
Yeah.
maybe for too long, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be intentional with your workout. So what's the purpose of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, exactly. I have one more question before the lightning round. What has been your biggest blessing in these last 4.5 years?
Finding myself. I My rock bottom, I broke myself down to pieces, and then in recovery was picking up the pieces that meant the most to me and putting myself back together, just making sense of who I am. And that's really just being truly authentic of who I am. People are able to love me for who I am, and I'm able to love others through my authentic self. And nothing's fake on this side. It is truly authentic. What you see is what you get. So that has been the biggest blessing for me. Everything just falls in line once you're your true authentic self.
And that totally comes through on my interview with you. I mean, you're very real and honest, and you're not,
Hmm.
there's no filter on you. You're just being authentic to who you are, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. We have made it to the lightning round of our show. I ask the same 5 questions to each guest. So the first question is, you're given 3 options. You have to pick one. Would you shark dive, bungee jump, or skydive?
Bungee. I've done a
Okay.
skydive.
Okay.
I don't really care for sharks.
Okay.
So bungee, I think, is one that I haven't done. Even though if I probably wouldn't do it, but yeah, that would be my choice. Yeah,
Yeah, I have a very similar answer to you. I probably wouldn't do it, but if I had to, it would be that one.
yeah.
Number 2, you're in a simulation. Every time you walk into a room, the same song plays. What's your song?
Oh my god. And by the way, we are in a simulation, no matter what.
Just had to throw that in there.
Janae Aiko really got me through my sobriety. Are you familiar with who she is? Yeah, she's an R&B artist. She's very tapped into her spirituality. Her music really got me through my sobriety. So anything that she plays, I mean, she's that's my girl.
Yeah, I'll have to look her
Janae,
up.
yeah, Janae Aiko. She's awesome.
Okay. Number 3, what's your favorite Disney movie?
And for me, it's Toy Story. Toy
Okay.
Story is
The first one?
the first one.
They're all good, honestly.
They are all good.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, Toy Story.
Yeah, they make me cry. The one where they're, like, in that little thing and they're about to be burned alive and they're all holding each other, like, that part always
Yep.
gets me.
I Walk Away.
Yes. It's so good.
I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah. Number 4, what is something you're obsessed with?
In the most, unvain, unselfish way, myself. I am completely obsessed with myself, and the way that I help people, the way that I want to show up for people, can't start without being totally obsessed with myself. So that's really what it is. I'm not really very much of a material person at all. I don't live for anything outside of myself. So just within me, focusing on me, being obsessed with myself, and I'm able to be that for others.
Really good answer. I haven't heard that one, but it's very profound. Last question, number 5. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom is love. Freedom equals love. If I can freely love anything and anybody, now that's freedom for me. If I can love you, right, that's true freedom because, all the BS is out of the way. If I love you, it's because you're meant to be in my life. If I love myself, it's the freedom to accept myself for who I am. It's freedom for me is love.
Perfect answer. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on and sharing your story. I mean, your story is extremely relatable. You know what I mean? You're just a very relatable guy. You're very authentic to who you are, and you tell your story very well. And it's going to help a lot of people. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely. And one thing I do want to share is a lot of the sobriety community is a lot of women, not a lot of men. So I hope to be that catalyst for a lot of men that are out there. And I'm a very manly man. I'm tools, I'm welding, and all that stuff, right? So I'm not your typical manly man because I am able to tap into my emotions the way that I do. But I hope to be that for the many men that are out there because I do see a lot of the people that are in the sobriety community are women. I am the beacon for a lot of men. So hopefully that resonates with a lot of guys out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're the light, the lighthouse, the beacon. Yeah,
Yes,
that it's okay to share your feelings. And
absolutely.
you can be a manly man, but still share your feelings.
You can. There's nothing wrong with it.
Awesome. Well, so nice meeting you. Have a good night.
Likewise. Thank you. You as well. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.